The red Ferrari gleamed under the afternoon sun as the millionaire stepped out, adjusting his tailored suit with pride. He loved the attention his car brought. People always stopped to stare. That day, as he parked in front of a small cafe, an old man walking by paused, his tired eyes lighting up at the sight of the sleek machine. He moved closer, almost reverently, as though he were looking at something far greater than just metal and wheels. The millionaire noticed and smirked. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said loudly, his voice dripping with arrogance so his friends could hear. They chuckled, sipping their coffee and watching the scene unfold. The old man nodded, his gaze fixed on the car, admiration clear in his eyes. Then, with a mocking laugh, the millionaire leaned against the Ferrari and declared, "Tell you what, if you can even turn it on, I'll give it to you." His friends burst into laughter, shaking their heads at what seemed like an impossible challenge. The idea of the frail, gray-haired stranger even knowing how to handle such a powerful machine seemed ridiculous. To them, it was just a moment of cruel amusement, a chance to feel superior. The old man, however, did not laugh. His weathered face remained calm, though a faint smile touched his lips. He looked at the car once more, not with envy, but with a kind of quiet understanding, as if the challenge had stirred a memory buried deep within his heart. The old man stood silently for a moment, his eyes reflecting both curiosity and something deeper, an old familiarity. The crowd expected him to laugh it off and walk away, but instead, he stepped closer to the Ferrari. His hands, rough and wrinkled from years of labor, gently brushed against the polished surface as if greeting an old friend. The millionaire's friends leaned forward, smirking, ready to enjoy the spectacle of an old man fumbling with technology far beyond his time. With surprising steadiness, the old man opened the driver's door. The leather seat creaked as he lowered himself in, moving with a kind of respect one reserves for something sacred. His fingers rested on the steering wheel, trembling, not from weakness, but from emotion. For a moment, he closed his eyes and whispered something softly, words no one could quite catch. It was as though he was conversing with the car, or perhaps with the memories it awakened in him. The millionaire folded his arms, smirking in confidence. To him, this was nothing more than a game. His friends chuckled, waiting for the moment the old man would fail, expecting laughter to follow. But instead of fumbling, the old man's hand reached for the ignition with a practiced ease. There was a stillness in the air, a strange anticipation that made even the bystanders stop and watch. Something about the way he handled the car did not feel like guesswork, it felt like experience. Something none of them had expected. A hush fell over the street as the engine roared to life, its deep growl breaking the silence and stunning the crowd. The Ferrari's headlights flickered, the dashboard lit up, and the sound of pure power filled the air. Gasps rose from the onlookers, and the millionaire's smug smile froze, replaced by disbelief. His friends exchanged wide-eyed glances, unable to comprehend how the frail old man had done what none of them thought possible. The old man sat behind the wheel, his eyes glistening with a mixture of pride and sorrow. He gently pressed the accelerator, letting the car purr like a beast under his control, before lifting his foot and letting it settle back into a calm idle. Slowly, he turned to face the stunned millionaire and his companions. "I know this engine," he said softly, his voice carrying the weight of years. "Decades ago, I worked in a small factory, building machines like this. I spent my life designing and assembling engines that gave people their speed, their freedom, their dreams. But I never had enough money to own even the simplest car myself." The words hung heavy in the air. The old man wasn't boasting, he was remembering. Every wrinkle on his face told a story of long nights, hard labor, and sacrifices no one in the crowd could see. What seemed like a joke a few moments ago had transformed into a revelation. The Ferrari was no mystery to him. It was a piece of his own life's work, beating beneath the hood. The laughter that had filled the cafe moments ago faded into an uneasy silence. The friends who had mocked the old man now avoided his eyes, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. The millionaire, once so full of pride, felt a strange heaviness in his chest. He looked at the old man's weathered hands resting on the wheel, hands that had shaped engines, built dreams, and carried decades of labor. Suddenly, the Ferrari no longer seemed like just a symbol of wealth, but a reminder of the lives and sacrifices behind it. The old man slowly stepped out of the car, his movement steady, his dignity unshaken. He didn't gloat, didn't rub his triumph in their faces. Instead, he placed a gentle hand on the gleaming hood, almost like a farewell touch. His calmness made the silence even more powerful. For the first time in years, the millionaire felt small. His mocking words replayed in his mind, but now they carried a sting of shame. He realized he hadn't just belittled a stranger, he had insulted someone who had given the world far more than he ever had. The arrogance in his smirk melted away, replaced by an expression no one expected to see from him, humility. The crowd stood still, as if holding its breath. It wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about respect. Respect for a man whose worth could not be measured in money, but in the quiet, unseen legacy he had left behind. The millionaire swallowed hard, his throat dry as he stepped toward the old man. The arrogance that once colored his voice was gone, replaced by a sincerity he hadn't felt in years. I'm sorry, he said quietly, the words awkward but honest. His friends watched in disbelief as he extended the keys, his hand trembling slightly. This car belongs to you more than me. Please, take it. The old man looked at the keys, then back at the younger man. For a moment, his eyes softened, filled with compassion rather than pride. Slowly, he shook his head. No, son, he replied gently, his voice warm yet firm. I don't need the car. My life was never about owning luxury, it was about creating something that others could enjoy. What matters isn't what you drive, but how you treat those who came before you. The words pierced the millionaire's heart more deeply than any rejection ever had. He lowered his hand, feeling the weight of both the keys and the lesson. The old man gave him a faint smile, then turned to continue his walk, leaving behind not envy, but wisdom. The Ferrari gleamed as brightly as before, but to the millionaire it no longer felt like a prize. It was a reminder. A reminder that true wealth wasn't measured in possessions, but in respect, humility, and kindness. And for the first time in his life, he realized he had much more to learn than to boast about.